We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all believe. And it feels alright where the worlds collide. Manipulation stands to make us break. What's that you said coming over you? You wish it upon a star. You wish it on a star. You are, you are, you are. You fight back, it's an all-out attack. It feels like I've been taken on the world's machine. Because I want it more than anyone can dream. You look back and it's all in the past. You tell me how you live by all the things you do. Well, you can be yourself, but maybe I'm not you. And it feels alright when they come and say to you, you're the only thing that makes us all.
Good afternoon, welcome to NUFC Matters. Talk of the Toon with me and Sid from Songs from the Attic 1977. Go and give him a sub. How are you, Sid?
Good, yeah, good. Yourself?
All good, mate. Good to see that you haven't gone into I'm a Celebrity anyway, so that's us safe for another year with that.
Well, yeah, busy week. Well, that's canny week. So it was down in London, so that was nice. Went to see the Buddha of Suburbia. What a great player that is. And that was on our first ever show, which I reviewed the book. It was a fantastic player. And then I went and saw Paul Weller the following night, who was just magnificent. Really was just top draw. Super gig down at the Hammersmith Apollo, I think it's called now, isn't it, rather than the Odeon. Yeah, good venue as well. Been there a number of times. Class. So a busy week. How about yourself?
Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, I've been busy. Obviously, I had Lennox Lewis here last week.
Can I just say it? Came this morning.
Hey, I got mine yesterday. Fantastic. Blake 7. Yes, exactly. The Blake 7 Blu-ray with lots of new additions on it. We will be back with the word on Blake 7 on our other channel on Monday next week. So 7 o'clock, get yourself on. Fascinating. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching that. I'm reading some of the fans forums that I'm involved in with regards to Blake 7 and mixed reviews. You're never going to be able to change everything. And listen, it's not about special effects. It's about the storylines, man. It's about the storylines and the script writing and the battle between the various characters. That's what it's about. But yeah, great stuff. We'll have to have a chat, Sid. We'll have to get you on there at some point. But let's get back to football. Newcastle United. We're looking to break that bad run of form on the road. And they did it in style at the City Ground. A wonderful result. Newcastle winning by 3-1. Didn't look like it was going to be that at half time. It has to be said. 1-0 down. Caught out really with a cute header from their Brazilian, and it was our Brazilians who turned the game. Bruno pulling the strings in midfield. Joe Ellington, of course, with a wonderful strike, and rounded off by that super sub Harvey Barnes to make it Nottingham Forest 1, Newcastle United 3, and 3 goals on the road, 3 points on the road, Sid.
Yeah, I thought we were magnificent. I mean, it was weird because we went in 1-0 down. I thought we played really well. First half, I was texting my mates. I said, I can't believe we're actually getting beat. I thought we played really, really well in the first half. There was no gripes off me at all. I thought everybody played well enough, you know. What we were doing was we were lacking in the final third, that little bit of guile just to sort of cut open a defence. And we've arguably not got that player, have we? You know, unless Bruno's pushed further up. I'm not sure we've got that player who can just split open a defence. So I thought 1-0 was harsh. I thought we were, you know, Isak let his man go. I thought Jamie Carragher, who I can't abide, but he actually analysed it really well and said that he came off his man and just let the Brazilian guy run forward and knock the ball, knock it in. It was, you know, it was just a poor bit of defending on our behalf. But I actually thought we played really well first half. There was, as I say, I thought we was very, very good and by far the better team in my view. And then the second half, we went up a gear, maybe it's 2 gears actually. And I thought they were tremendous. I mean, first half, I thought Hall was really, really good. I thought first half, Willock was good. And Big Joe was just tremendous throughout the game. I thought second half, Bruno just went through the gears and was just magnificent and just dominated the midfield. It was probably his best performance of the season, I would say. I thought he was just outstanding. He genuinely looked like a world-class player on Sunday. He was just dictating everything that was going on. I thought Big Joe was my man of the match. He was just outstanding. I mean, the goal was brilliant, but the fact that he went from the left to the right, he was floating, he was exchanging positions with Willock, which worked really, really well. I think Willock's final third is sometimes a little bit lacking at times, but again, as I said, I thought he had a really good game, and that creates something else because you stretch their midfield then, so you can break the lines if you want to get all a bit technical about it. But I thought we were really, really good, and as I say, second half we were just magnificent.
We've lost you there, Sid. We've lost you, mate. Your internet is done what it did last week. Unfortunately, the signal's gone. It was a little bit dodgy towards the start, and we will have to bring Sid back in once he's got his internet issues sorted out. He sometimes just has to switch from one router to another or go from his phone onto his next thing. But we'll wait and see how Sid pans out. But in the meantime, not very often I have to do this and go off on one and talk about Newcastle United's performance. But I was down there, and from my perspective, I thought it was a pretty poor first half. And it just goes to show how, you know, people's opinions are different when you're at the game and when you're not at the game. And watching on TV, you're getting different angles. You're going with the director's angles, whereas from our perspective at the game, it didn't seem right. There was one guy came up to us at half time and said, "Steve, I thought we played really well there. And generally speaking," he says, "I think we'll win this game by 3-1." I didn't get his name, but I tell you what, I wouldn't mind being behind him at the bookies moving forward when he comes up with predictions like that at half time. I'm going to bring Sid back in. I think he has managed to sort his internet issues out. Sid, you okay?
I've switched back. I've switched on my other internet, and I'm not sure that's great either, to be honest. But
that's a lot better. That's a lot better. We can see you now, and you're moving in real time and speaking in real time. So that's great, mate.
Good. Okay. So I was saying, I heard you saying that you disagreed. That's fair enough. That's what the whole show's about, isn't it? And I thought we were great first half. Second half, we were just magnificent. Really went through the gears. I'm saying Harvey Barnes didn't help his cause by scoring in terms of the whole super sub thing, because that's what he is, unfortunately. I thought Tonali also came on and looked magnificent, and probably could have scored if Barnes had actually passed the ball for the second time round when he was through, and there was a straight pass on for Tonali. Just stood there and he's like, just pass the ball, he's going to score. Would have been 4. But hey, you can't get too greedy. I thought we were great. So I thought the 2 subs were just outstanding. So well done, Eddie Howe. I would like to have seen the young kid come on again, though. He should have come on earlier rather than his 10 seconds at the end. Although, to be fair to him, he'll have got a bonus. But for appearance. But I just thought we were brilliant. I mean, I've got some little notes here. I think I've said most of them. Big Joe was magnificent. I thought, can I just comment on the refereeing as well? The refereeing was so bad. What is Anthony Taylor doing? I mean, it's hard to get your head round. Ryan Yates, there were two challenges which could have been red cards. I mean, the commentator on the TV said that he thought that he looked at Tonali and then went and elbowed him. If that's the case, that's a deliberate elbow. That's a red card.
Tino, not Tonali. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Tino. I beg your pardon. And then the other one was on Sean Longstaff. That could have been a red card. I mean, Ryan Yates, God, play like Eddie Yates. That's for the Coronation Street fans out there. He was awful. He was awful. I mean, how long it took him to get a yellow card? He should have been gone long before the time he got a yellow card in the 65th minute or whatever it was. So the standard of the refereeing was awful. But, I mean, he was bad for both teams, to be fair. He was equally bad. I mean, the Forest fans apparently got a real problem with him in terms of past history. If you go and check up the past history, Taylor, with Forest, I think Forest are even more disgruntled with some of the past decisions. So, yeah, he wasn't great for either. And I go back to the previous week where I was commenting on how appalling the refereeing standards are within our country. And it's possibly about time to do what they do with regards to the cricket. And that's basically start importing referees from abroad, and, it's supposed to be the best league in the world. Then you should have the best referees in the world. All right, I might not agree with the whole air travel thing, but, at the end of the day, you want impartiality and you want quality. And at the minute, the quality is not there. I'm not saying that they're not impartial, because I think they are, but they're just awful. They're just awful. The quality of the refereeing is the worst it's ever been. And he's supposed to be one of the top two. He's one of the top two. He's a FIFA referee. What can I say? Awful. But yeah, Newcastle.
I did like this on Twitter. Yates elbows Livramento in the face, causing him to bleed. So naturally, the ref books Dan Burn.
Yeah, so Dan Burn gets a yellow card, misses the next game through it now. And I thought Burn played quite well. I mean, I've not made any secret of the fact that I'd rather see the other lad playing. But I thought Burn played well, and deservedly so, played really well, but just appalling decision. But yeah, our league is faster. Absolutely, Roger. It is, apparently. But
John poses an interesting question. He says, a couple of quality signings in January will massively boost our top four prospects. But does the Joe Ellington situation mean that the need for a wide right attacker is less urgent?
You always want to improve when you're doing well. I think is the phrase, isn't it? You don't just want to sit on your laurels and assume. And what happens if Big Joe gets injured? Let's be honest, he missed most of last season. So if he's injured again, then we'll be back to square one. Yes, it does alleviate the situation. Absolutely. I didn't know he could play on the right. And in fact, when he scored with his left foot, I didn't know his left foot was his worst foot. So I genuinely thought he was left-footed. So I was a little bit taken aback. So he's a two-footed footballer, which again is a rarity, but we seem to have two or three of them, which is quite unusual in a team. And yeah, it absolutely does, because there's no doubt Gordon's definitely better on the left. He's definitely better on the left, but he didn't have a great game. He was probably the weakest player on the pitch on Sunday, which is really unusual. And again, I think he's probably been carrying a little injury, which is a little bit disappointing to see him go off for England. But, can I comment on Pope as well? Pope's not in the England squad now, and to me, I think it's his career done now for England. The fact that they've picked the goalkeeper from Burnley when a keeper's been injured over Pope, and it's just simply down to the fact, not down to his save, he's shot stopping, because he's probably the best. He's certainly in the top 2 or 3 shot stoppers in the league, but he's kicking. He's certainly in the worst.
I thought Pope had a good game. I thought Pope had a good game Sunday. I thought everything about his game was right. I think it's good that he's having this time away from England. I think he needs to concentrate on his club over country. But I genuinely feel that he'll be back in the England squad under Tuchel, because he is one of the best keepers in the Premier League. I agree, his kicking is the one thing that lets him down. But
I don't think he will be. I don't think he will
name me a goalkeeper that's been who we've had at Newcastle that's had everything. We've either got somebody who's got a shot stopper or who's a good kicker of the ball, but not great with his shot stopping. It's weird. But the one good thing about him on Sunday was he was coming out and he's catching the ball.
Yeah, don't get us
Previous
wrong.
week
I
he's
mean,
punching here and punching there. And
as you see, when I did my all-time 11, I picked him as my number one. But his kicking is awful. Let's be honest. And there are a few out there. There's not many of them who are great at every aspect of the game within the league. Although none of them seem to be English. You've got the Arsenal keeper who's brilliant, the Man City keeper who's brilliant, and the Liverpool keeper. And there is an argument that along with the centre forward, it's the most important position in the league. Brian Clough used to say that about Peter Shilton, didn't he, at Notts Forest? But anyway, I digress. But I thought he had a good game. Everybody had a good game for me. I thought Shaw played well again. He was back to sort of being really good and quite commanding. As I say, the midfield was great. Look, the two fullbacks were fantastic. Lewis Hall, tremendous. Livramento Kit was better in the second half, I would say. But there's no denying how good Big Joe was. What a player. What an absolute player. And it really annoys me on the TV. They'll go, oh, he's been really good now for a year or two. No, it'll be 3 years now. I think it's about 3 years roughly, the Norwich game, isn't it? When you've transformed into this butterfly of a footballer. And he was, it's about 3 years he's been fantastic. So let's get that right there as well. I mean, what a player. It's probably the greatest transformation I think we've ever seen at the club. The sad thing is the lad who's done his collarbone in, who also, can I add, has been a revelation as a footballer under Eddie Howe, because beforehand, under Bruce, he looked abysmal, one of the worst players I'd seen at the club, transformed into a top player, great squad player. And now, unfortunately, again, he's suffered another really big injury and he's going to be out for a good few months. And that's a real shame as well, But anyway, I digress. Go on, Steve, what were you going to say?
What did you think about Lewis Hall getting a call-up? Well deserved?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, who else is better in the country as a left-back? Certainly English. I mean, there's an argument anywhere in the Premier League at the moment. He's got a bit of pace. He looked much quicker than I thought the other day. He held off their right winger, who Newcastle looked at, Elanga, who has been in and out of the Forest team, which was a surprise. He absolutely marked him out of the game. He marked him out of the game again. And bearing in mind, he'd marked Saka out of the game just about the week before. So there's nobody can have any complaints about that. And of the two at the minute, he looks the better of the two fullbacks. He's more composed, I think. And I think he's got a little bit more natural skill. I love the way he just reads the game. He's very clever. He's very intelligent. He's able to just sort of come in. He's able to do a little jink move, and he looks like he's going to go outside, and then he just cuts in. It's very clever, and he just sends the player the wrong way. I love that. So it's a really clever little move he's got going on. But he just seems to read the game really, really well. So yeah, really impressed with him. He could be the England fullback for the next decade. And Tino has got much harder competition on the right. I mean, the right at the minute, there's 4 players who can all play right back there, and all very, very good players. So a little bit harder for him, but good game the other day. Well done to him.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. The change in fortunes, since that Chelsea defeat in the league, the Carabao Cup win, the Arsenal win, and now the Forest win. Is that simply down to positional changes, putting Joe Linton out of the midfield and sticking him out, outside left, and bringing Willock in, to the team, who gives us that extra emphasis going forward, and swapping Gordon onto the opposite flank, but then obviously bringing him across to the left, which is something I'd suggested on a couple of times, allowing him to have that kind of freedom. Is it simply that change that's changed things, or have we just found our scoring boots? Because in previous games, let's pick the Everton game, for example, over 20 shots on target, no goals from open play, and a missed penalty. Newcastle could have won that game by a canter. but it was just we couldn't put in. We couldn't put in our chances. So is it down to the positional change, or is it just Lady Luck changing her attitude with Newcastle?
I think it's a combination of factors, isn't it? I think that the squad's fitter. There's no doubt about it, and it's took quite a while to sort of get up to those levels. I agree. I think switching, he seems to have got a steady team at last. But also, of course, we can't overlook the fact that Isak's playing. He didn't play against Everton, and had he been fully fit against Everton, would have whopped them. In my opinion, I think would have absolutely tanked them. So I think that's a big part of it as well. Isak looks fit now, so there is that. I think that is the thing. I think he didn't know his team, and he just genuinely didn't know his team. But also, he didn't have any faith in the young kid up front, so he's playing Anthony Gordon up front, which is not his position. He's a good player. He can play there. There's no doubt about it. But for me, and as I say, if he could finish like Harvey Barnes, he would be like the Leicester City lad, but he's not. He can't finish. He's just not. He's not got that natural instinct about him. So I think that was part of the problem as well. Yes, the change in terms of lineup has definitely helped. I think fitness has definitely helped. Isak being on form now, and also Bruno looks fitter. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of him. He certainly looks a little bit more lean, and I'm not saying he was overweight, by the way, but he looks even more lean now, if you like. And he looks fitter. They all look a little bit fitter, and I think that's part of it. So I think that's it. And there's a steady lineup. It saddens me that Tonali's not in the team. I would somehow get him in the team. As I say, he came on the other day and fantastic. I find it hard to believe that we can't get a position for him. And I know people will say, oh, well, we're winning all the games with Sean Longstaff. Fair enough. I'm not having a dig out. I'm not digging out Sean Longstaff. I just think Tonali's a better footballer. So I would like to see the better footballer in. But I also think that Eddie Howe's reverted back to type, and he's gone back more to, instead of trying to play possession football, because I said it last week, I don't think we've got the players who can play possession football, enough of them. I think there are 2 or 3 of them where, I'm not saying the ball's like a hot potato, but they're not brilliant on the ball, like the likes of Tonali, like Bruno, like Isak. We don't have enough of those players in the team to be able to, and like Lewis Hall, actually, we don't have enough players in the first 11 just to ping the ball around. So he's gone back almost to being almost like a counter-attacking team again. That's the way I see it. So they've gone back to go forward. So they've almost gone back to 2 years ago to playing that same type of counter-attack football. Although, of course, we were playing a counter-attacking football team the other day. So hence the fact we actually had more possession than Notts Forest. But yeah, that's the way I see it anyway. I just think fitness levels and personnel has definitely helped. And it's unfortunately the breaks come at the wrong time for Newcastle. We look really on it, and the fixtures look really good. Bar Liverpool, I always say, and I say it every time, Liverpool's the benchmark for me. The day we start beating Liverpool on a regular basis, then Newcastle has fully arrived as a team. And yeah, but that's the big test over the next 6 weeks for me, that and the League Cup. So
Question there from Barry. Is there a goalkeeper that you would go for? Is there a particular goalkeeper that you would like to see Newcastle sign? To give Pope a bit of competition.
Well, Trafford's been talked about, and he's now playing again at Burnley, so I don't think they'll be able to prize him away now. They got offered him for £20 million, and I think they'd probably have to spend a lot more money to get him. And he is apparently the big one that they all rave about, don't they? He's apparently brilliant with his feet. He's a good shot stopper, they reckon, and according to the younger players, he's got everything about him. So I'm happy to trust the management with regards to their choices in terms of a player. I mean, they were all raving about Mamardashvili, and we were all talking about him during the summer, who's an incredible shot stopper, probably the best shot stopper in the world, but not great with his feet. So as you were saying before, therefore, not the complete package. If you look at, as I said, I think the Premier League's got 3 players who are described as having the complete package. I think Edison, I think the Liverpool keeper, it's bizarre, Brazil have got 2, arguably the two best goalkeepers in the world, which is remarkable when you think of the 1980s team that they had, and they had someone like Taffarel. He couldn't catch a cold, and then as I say, the lad who plays at Arsenal, I think he's a very, very good keeper, way ahead of Ramsey, and hence the fact that they sold him. Those, for me, are the benchmark keepers that you need to be going for. Somebody who's got everything, and there are some out there. So for me, as well as striker, obviously, or attacker, striker, right wing, and goalkeeper are my three priority positions for Newcastle. I'm sure they won't go that way. They'll probably go centre half, and that's fair dues. But
do you think we'll spend money in January? I've had this conversation this morning, and I don't think we'll spend a great deal. I mean, it's a poor window usually anyway, but I think they'll go big in the summer.
I was shot down on. I looked like an idiot last time saying they went big in the summer and they didn't. I think they'll go big both times, and I think they'll go for an attacker, somebody who can either double up. I mean, everyone's talking about Bueno, absolutely brilliant. However, are we going to be able to prize him away? I suspect not. Hence the fact that I was saying last week, I think the Bournemouth lad looks fantastic. He was brilliant against us, the lad on the right. I forget his name now, but very impressive footballer. That would be my other choice. But this is where Mitchell comes in, because most of us don't watch foreign football. We don't watch German football or Spanish football. You might watch the odd little bit. These will know the leagues inside out, and therefore they may well go and take somebody from another team. There you go. Thank you, Dave. Semenyo. So we may go down that route. I think they will. I think they will go. I don't think they'll get a centre half because of the fact that Botman's back. So I think they'll just literally buy one big player, and then Bueno covers two positions. He can play on the right and he can play up front, which he's done for Brentford. So he could be the man, but prizing him away is a big issue. I think it's easier to prize away the Bournemouth lad. But I do think they'll go big. I do. Or they might go out and get somebody we've never heard of. And we'll also need to become internet researchers and try and dig out who this player might be. And I think that's the other option.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these players will be linked with everybody.
Mark, absolutely. Can see why he's been linked with Arsenal and Man United. He looks a terrific player. He's really come on.
Yeah, he certainly has. Interesting stuff, interesting times. As always, we take a turn into music on this show, but we will have our ad break, and we will bring Rob in after this. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at their website, skipsandbins.com. Say hello to low-cost waste disposal with pay-as-you-go and contract waste management. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website is mrvickies.co.uk. Email them info@mrvickies.co.uk or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to our fanzine sponsor, United Group Travel. Congratulations to them on their Travel and Tourism Award 2024. 2-crew driver and courier, local family company, 3-star plus quality hotels, no interchanges. All excursions included. Find them at their website www.unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Just £30 per person deposit. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. Thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the technical side of things. And don't forget, we are also available as a podcast on iTunes and Spotify and other podcast providers. If you get the time, please hit the subscribe button. It does do us a big favour. Hit the like button, which is the thumb under the video. That helps the channel grow. And click share to share to your other social medias. You can also hit the join button and become a member. Some dates for your diary. In aid of Newcastle Cat and Dog Shelter, the Long Sands play the Clooney. That takes place on Saturday, January the 4th, 2025.
with support from Lilac Lane and the Chris Norris Band. Tickets pre-sale are £15 from newcastlelegends.com or from the venue direct. Peter Beardsley will be doing a talk-in at the Tyneside Irish Centre. That takes place on the 10th of January. Tickets are £30. VIP tickets are £60 and you can get them from newcastlelegends.com. An evening with the entertainers takes place at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House in Newcastle on the 24th of January. Kevin Scott, Steve Watson, Steve Howie, John Beresford, Rule Fox, Peter Beardsley, Rob Lee, Keith Gillespie, Liam O'Brien, Darren Peacock, Paul Bracewell, Lee Clark and Killer Kill Klein are all going to be there with Gibbo, and you can get your tickets from the box office 0191 243 1171 or the website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk. Lee Clark will be at the Gateshead Leisure Centre. That is on the 31st of January, and tickets available from the Leisure Centre 0191 250 5066. Les Ferdinand will be at the Newcastle O2 City Hall the 6th of April 2025. That is a 12 o'clock start until 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Tickets available from ticketmaster.co.uk. And Will Scott's book on the entertainers is out now. £18.99, over 380 pages and a lot of unseen photographs. You can buy that book now from newcastlelegends.com. And we do have some fanzines remaining. If you want to buy an NUFC Matters fanzine, issue 1 is still available, again from newcastlelegends.com. And please take your time to flip onto our other channel, The Word on Blake 7. Please hit the subscribe button and help that channel grow.
And it's a big welcome back to Rob from Give Up the Ghost UK. How are you, Rob?
I'm okay. I can see a shadow there, and yeah, my face. I'm fine. How are you both?
Good to see you, Rob.
All good, mate. All good. You have been busy, mate. You sent us a couple of these things over, and yes, you have been busy, mate.
Yeah. Very busy. Yeah, just one of my gifts I've done. I like that. I see it as sort of therapy for me. I like making gifts for people. So yeah, just go for a wander and see what I can find lying about. I suppose I'm a bit of a womble. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, it just keeps me busy. Good for the spirit and the mind. That's it.
Good stuff, mate. Good stuff. And as always, Rob brings an album to us. He also doesn't bring an album to us. And the first, this is the one that he won't be reviewing this week. And thank the Lord for that. There's a potential lookalike in there as well, I would have said. But Steve Hasty isn't on the show today. I'm sure one of them looks like.
What a shame.
Okay, mate. What are you bringing us this week?
But firstly, before we go any further, I was at the museum in Montrose and found this flyer. Playing in Forfar, which is the next place to where I stay. Unfortunately, I just checked the date on it. It's 30th of November. It's my next concert I'm going to in Dundee, which I can't mention the name on this show. Wouldn't go down well. Yeah. Today we're going 1987 with U2's The Joshua Tree album. Brilliant. Still got a ticket stub from it, from the first one. I think I mentioned it before. Said that was Love and Money, Run Rig and the Pogues supported them. I know Mission as well. I know Bono was a big fan of Gods of Medicine and asked U2 to support them in Murrayfield in Edinburgh and Ellen Road. What a gig that was. Unbelievable. Really, really good. So yeah, it's about 37 years ago. It's fantastic. I think this is one of the only albums that I think the album gets better as the album goes on. I'm not big on the singles on this album. But yeah, so anyway, we've got Paul Hewson, Bono on vocals. I used Bono Vox after a hearing aid shop in Dublin. Dave Evans, The Edge, because of his jawline. That's why he was called Edge.
All right, that's interesting. Didn't know that.
Yeah, just because of his sharp jawline, the Edge. That's it. Then you got Larry Mullen Jr. I believe it was Larry in his kitchen, his mum and dad's kitchen, that's formed the band. And you've got Adam Clayton. And it produced by Daniel Lanois and Brian Eno. Great album. So I'm going to open with The Streets Have No Name. It's cracking opening. It's a really, really good build up. And firstly, as well, the production of this album, every song is top drawer. Really, really good. This has been covered a few times. If I'm right, I think the Pet Shop Boys done it. So it's quite haunting, good build up. The Edge is staple, sort of scratch style guitar. The bass runs on this are absolutely top drawer again. It's a really good feel opener, good feel good opener for the album. It's one of these ones as well. It's good to the imagination, like I say, been covered a few times and was a single. We got track 2. I still haven't found what I'm looking for, and I remember a band called The Chimes covering this as well. I've not listened to this album for a while. I've watched, they revisited it recently. They retoured it. And so I've been listening to that again. So it's good. It's just as good now as it was then, even live. But a good video on this one. But it's the bass and drums stand out for me. It's quite a slow song. It's quite memorable. It's not my favourite. I'm not a fan on singles anyway. It's just how I am. You got With or Without You. This is beautifully delivered again by every band member on this one. It's just a brilliant song. I do like this one after just saying I don't like singles, funnily enough. So I like the turmoil on relationships, powerful vocals, drums and guitar. It just match made of heaven. And again, the lyrics, see the stone set in your eyes, see the thorn twist in your side, I'll wait for you. Sleight of hand and twist of fate, on a bed of nails, she makes me wait, and I wait without you. It's just good. I just like it. You got Bullet, the Blue Sky, it's sort of clever drum intro. It's Larry Mullen, brilliant drummer. We're putting I Will Follow in our set list going forward, but it's just the drums. It's just unique. He's just got his own style, his own natural style, and he's just not above anybody else, or no pun directed at Lars Ulrich there at all whatsoever. But he's just brilliant. He just sits there, does his job, just carries the band beautifully. Yeah, it's just brilliant. Sort of like an air raid siren sort of song. I think it's obviously like a war sort of El Salvador sort of, protest sort of song, I think. It's quite dark. I really like it. It sort of picks up. Adam Clayton's bass on this song is again brilliant, superb. Running to Stand Still. Now, to me, this is where the album picks up for me. But all the songs moving on now are absolutely, for me, top drawer. Again, Cry Without Weeping, Talk Without Speaking, Scream Without Raising Your Voice. I mean, wow, what lyrics to put down. It's quite a tearful song, it's quite heartwarming and emotional. It sort of like gently builds up at the last section, and I like just the subtle floor toms that Larry Mullen puts on it just to open it up. You got side B, Turn the Vinyl Over. So Red Hill Mining Town, again, great video. Really, really like this one. I think so far this is my favourite song on the album. It's just, while I was taking my notes, I sort of started welling up. It's just brilliant. It's just beautiful. And you get that with music. It's a journey, it's emotion. It takes you to a place and it can just hit you sometimes when you unexpect it. It's just perfection for me. It's quite an underrated song. I think the delivery on this song for me is Bono's finest vocal recording. I think, like I say, it's quite a teary song, but that's all I can say that one. It's just absolutely superb. Go and listen to it, everybody. You got In God's Country again. Edge's guitar, the intro is outstanding. The bass, the offbeat drums are bang on again. Classic U2. So I think it's a song about never forget what our ancestors did. It's a beautiful song again. Then you got One Tree Hill, another brilliant opener again. Just the opener on it, it's just probably like an American feel to it, but so many to choose from, especially on this side B. But it's sort of like heartfelt passion in it, and Bono's delivery again. It's just unbelievable. So mid-tempo, really good catchy drum fills, as Larry does naturally, and the chorus is absolutely stunning. Then you've got Exit. This is sort of like a nostalgia feeling sort of song. It makes me nostalgic listening to this. It's it's very deep, it's atmospheric, very haunting drums. I mean, you'll not hear that very often, seeing the drums sound haunting and atmospheric. You know, it's usually the bass or guitar effects or that side of things. Builds up again, very sort of angst, sort of angular angst at the end, sort of Sonic Youth-ish. But the bass and the drums on this, again, match made in heaven. And the final song is Mothers of the Disappeared. It's like the perfect album closure for me. It's a masterpiece. I've actually no words to describe this song, but to me it's about hope, faith, and obviously and ultimately victory. It's a 9.8 out of 10 for me. So Steve, I've just got a couple of little bits to show you that I did buy at the time. I got the gold disc.
Oh, nice.
Wow, very nice.
I got the fan club, the 10-inch. It's all the singles, they're all unplayed. And I actually bought this in Dublin. The date was released. It's you know, it's I got this. It was about £120, and so far it's sort of kept its value.
Oh, will do, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you know what it's like, Sid. I'll take it out. I'll have a look at it, and I'll put it away. It's never been played, but it's just beautiful. Like I say, bought in Dublin at the time. It's just, I just love it. It's unbelievable. So yeah, that's getting 9.8 out of 10. Yeah,
brilliant stuff.
Brilliant
Great album. Yeah, One Tree
great.
Hill is probably my favourite on the album. I think it's a great album.
One Tree Hill, yeah.
Yeah, great album. Right, well, I've gone with, interestingly, Bono offered to be the lead singer of Joy Division when Ian Curtis died. And I've actually gone with Joy Division's first album, Unknown Pleasures. Released in June 1979, produced remarkably actually by Martin Hannett, which is so different in terms of the production. It's one of the first post-punk albums in terms of, you know, in terms of being released alongside bands like Wire, Public Image, Magazine, Susie, and some of the sort of Buzzcocks songs as well at the time. It's such an interesting sound in terms of the album. It's so different. That's influenced largely by Stephen Morris's drum sound when he's using what they call a sin drum, which I believe Khan used on Tego Mego, which is also a great album actually. It's just a truly great, groundbreaking album. I remember it when I first heard it. I thought, I'm not sure about this, but as it's gone on over time, I've loved it more and more. It's just an outstanding album. A real gothic feel to the album as well. And in fact, John Savage, the writer, describes it as a northern gothic statement, which I think is probably right. There's definitely links. Obviously, the name Joy Division links to the war with regards to the whole story. I'll let you research it yourselves. But also with regards to the album, there's definitely at times there's a World War II feel to it in terms of the themes, in terms of the whole sort of references to the Nazis and stuff as well on it. So it's fascinating in terms of an album. So I'll be very quick here. It opens up with Disorder, which actually sounds quite clumsy at times, yet works perfectly. And again, Curtis's voice, it's not great. It's not technically excellent. He's not like David Bowie or Frank Sinatra, you know, yet works perfectly in terms of the context of the band. It works just brilliantly, you know. It's so Disorder, great song, just superb opener. Then we've got Dear the Lord, which is one of my favorites on it. Again, it's got that World War II feel about it, which I referred to it on it in terms of the theme, in terms of the bleakness, in terms of the lyrics. It's just superb. Hannett's production is just incredible, as I say. It's very sparse. And you get this big drum sound, which nobody else was doing at the time. Very rarely, okay? Candidate, about relationships which falter, which is a great song. Insights, the next one. Again, the bass line adds like a counter melody, which goes really, really well against the rest of the tune. It's just superb. His high bass line is just incredible. I love the way that the rhythm changes on it. New Dawn Fades, a song about suicide, which would sadly prove quite prophetic. She's Lost Control, again, links to Ian Curtis, but also the girl he's writing about who had problems with epilepsy. And obviously he had huge problems with epilepsy, and that was partially the reason in terms of allegedly with regards to his suicide. I'm just checking my notes here. Shadow Player, my favourite track on the album, which I remember watching it on the TV show with Tony Wilson, and that's just brilliant. And it's weird because Peter Hook looks just like Matthew Corbett on bass. Absolutely sweet. He genuinely, really, really does. I keep expecting to see him with a puppet on his hand, but it's brilliant. It's very moody. It's slow, and then it builds up, and it's got a real magazine feel to it. Really my favourite track on the album, of a great album, by the way. Wilderness, about organised rebellion. It's just superb. It's got a hypnotic sort of bass line to it. I love the rhythmic changes. Very sort of Susie at times on it in terms of the Banshees feel. Interzone is magnificent. It's the most punk rock song on the album. Could easily be like a forerunner for Killing Joke, for the Cult or Death Cult or Southern Death Cult, whatever they were at the time. It's definitely got that sort of feel to it. It's very punk rock. And then the finishing track, I Remember Nothing, almost leads you into the next album, Closer, which is one of the most depressing albums of the 1980s, yet brilliant, may I add. And it's really got that really somber feel, really sad, really sort of death-laden, really bleak. And the whole album is really bleak, yet magnificent. You've got to be in the mood for it, I think, is the way I'd say it. It's not an album I put on the middle of a summer's day, but you've got to be really in the mood for it. But it's a tremendous 5-star album all day for me. It really is a groundbreaker. Top draw. We did a show on them as well regarding picking we picked the top 10 songs. Bear in mind they've only got 50. So we picked the top 10 songs, and then we ranked the albums as well. And bear in mind, they've only got 2 proper albums, and then the compilation. So yeah, that's an interesting show, and we've all got slightly different choices. There's me with Peter Hook. I couldn't believe how short he was. Yeah, he was tiny. He's about 5'7", and at the time I asked him. I'd read his first book, and I asked him to do an audio book for this. And we're talking. His 2 fingers are deliberate there. And he swore at us. He told us where to go in terms of doing an audio book. He goes, "Do you know how long it'll take us to do this? Come on, basically F off." And of course, he went on and did it. And it's brilliant. Substance is a fantastic audio book. Talks about the whole harrowing relationship he had with Carolina Hearn, which is very sad, actually. But the first book is this one, and it's brilliant. It's funny. It's sad, of course. It's bizarre. He talks about the rise of punk rock, going to see the Pistols, forming the band, about his job, being with his first wife. He talks about hearing that Ian Curtis has died, and they're just about to go away to America the following day. And he's having his Sunday lunch, gets a phone call saying, Ian Curtis is basically hung himself. And he goes, "Okay." And he goes back down, sits and has his Sunday dinner, which is surreal. I think it's a state of shock. Let's be honest. How do you cope with these things? And then he explains what's happened once he's had his Sunday dinner, and he says he says himself he was uncertain of how to react. He just didn't know what to do. He was sort of shocked and numb by the whole thing. But there's bleakness to it, but it's actually genuinely funny, and also he depicts a bit like what Newcastle will have been like as well in the 70s. He depicts how bleak parts of the city were and what it was like to be in Manchester in the 70s, and sort of the whole city. And you're able to get this really real rounded picture. It's brilliant. If you get the chance to listen to the audio book, it's brilliant because he does it and it's really funny, and it's really superb. But Substance, the next one's even better. Because it's longer and funnier, and he talks about what they did when they were like doing loads of drugs and various things, and the hacienda is just bonkers stories. Some of the stories you just like, they sound unreal, but you know they are. But great album, great book, great fella, really funny man. We had a good crack actually when we're talking. He was a good bloke. So there we go.
A lot of chat in the chat from people about Ice Cube's new single. Mark says it's a proper old school 90s throwback. And he also says Sam Fender's new single is a belter, which comes out Friday this week.
What's Sam Fender's new song? I'm sure I read something called something like Spit on You or something like that. I read something.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Which I thought was like gob on you by not the 9 o'clock news, you know.
Yeah, might be. Yeah,
Great song.
Darren Lee says big album out this Friday is the new Linkin Park release, and he agrees that the new Ice Cube single is a belter. It's out last week with an old school sound. And Mark Byers, rather tongue-in-cheek, says, is that U2 album being released as a tribute to Bono, who stayed true to his promise and drove his car over a cliff last week when he heard of Trump being elected? Did he do that? Wow. Sparky D says, not a great U2 fan, but love the video for Streets Have No Name. And Darren says, one U2 song I like, which has stood the test of time, is Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me,
good one,
from the Batman soundtrack. Sparky D's asked us a question. He says, what is everyone's favourite cover version? He says, mine's Metallica's Whiskey in the Jar. That's a good question. So I'll throw that to you two music experts.
I had one the other week when this came up and I forgot. And I went away and think, oh, why didn't I think of that?
Cover version. Well, I will say it was that version of the Art and Garfunkel song by Disturbed, Silence. Is it the by Disturbed? Like
Sound of Silence.
Sound of Silence by Disturbed. That was brilliant. That take on the Sound of Silence is brilliant. I really like it. So that's my cover version. Have you guys got one?
I can't think off the top of my head.
Go on then. Go on, Rob.
I'd be surprised if Sid doesn't agree with this one. Walk On By the Stranglers.
Yeah, it is great, yeah. The Clash as well, I Fought the Law.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is the old cricket song, which was done by the Bobby Fuller Four. Blondie, actually Hanging on the Telephone wasn't their song either. That was a cover, which is amazing.
Yeah. Great stuff.
But the Clash, I'll go with the Clash. I Fought the Law.
All right, good stuff. Thanks, Rob. As always, mate. I'm sure if anyone's got any suggestions for albums, you can chuck them in the chat or stick them in the messages below, and we will come to them over the course of time. Rob will pick an album for next week. But until then, Rob, see you next week.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Great to have Rob on. We'll finish off with one question. Barry's been chucking a few in today. He says, do you think Mitchell's got something to prove in January, Sid?
A little bit. I think next summer's the big one, obviously. But what David Watt's great cover. It is. Absolutely. Yes, a little bit. I mean, he should come with a full back catalogue, if we're talking music here, of players that he's looked at and reviewed, and he'll have a huge in-depth sort of research bank. He should have a huge bank of players. I know Rafa had it and all them sort of guys. So he will have a big bank of players, and he'll have done all his research. He should have a wide range of players that he's already sort of scouted. So yeah, I'm expecting one big signing, and I'm expecting 2 or 3 kids, because I believe buying kids doesn't count towards PSR. So if you're Newcastle or any of the other clubs, really, you go out and buy as many kids with huge potential. It doesn't cost a penny, really, and then you're just going to cash in on them if it don't work out, you know. That's the way I look at it. I think you buy one big player and 2 or 3 kids. And when I say kids, I'm talking 15, 20 million pounders, you know, that might be, which is quite a lot of money, but shouldn't really count towards the overall cost, I believe. I'm happy to be corrected, though, but I think that's the way it works. So,
yeah, Jason, that's a good album, mate, as well. Yeah, The Butterfly Effect by Bruce Foxton. It is a good one. I do like that, to be perfectly honest, mate. So yeah, it's a good shout as well. Barry had another question as well. Who would you go for in January? Hoping there's someone better than Alanga lined up. Who do you?
Langa's not a bad player, you know. He absolutely tore us apart twice last year. He just had a bad game the other day, and everybody has a not a great game. I mean, we looked at Saka the other day against Newcastle, and he didn't play very well, but we all know he's a top player, you know. So for me, Alanga wouldn't be the worst decision in the world. Absolutely not. He's certainly better than Murphy and better than Mickey. And in fact, we could go out and sell both of them.
Of course,
if you've got Joe Linton who plays there now and you buy another player, that's your right side covered. In the worst case, you can put Barnes there, you know, or you can put Gordon there. So you've got 4 players who can then potentially play on the right. So so you could definitely do that. You'd get decent money. You'd actually get decent money for both. I think we paid 12.5 million, if I remember rightly, for Murphy. And I think you've got a chance of 15, 20 million back for him quite comfortably. His stats were good last year. He scored about 7 goals or 7 assists or 7 goals, something ridiculous like that. He did really well last year. So why not? He could play comfortably for a lower Premier League team, you know, and Miggy's the same. So
he is. People watching a Sam Fender song, so keep an eye out for that. That is the end of the show today. I'm back tomorrow at the same time, 1 o'clock in the afternoon with Joe Allen. Happy birthday to Joe today, by the way. It is his birthday. And we will be back 1 o'clock tomorrow. Thursday is no Supermax still, just me and Gibbo, and then Friday the Amigos. But for now, Sid, thanks very much. Thanks to Rob. Take care.
Take care, folks. Bye-bye.